Hello, and thank you for the invitation today with the
Sure.
Candid conversation with Shashi. And it's a very pleasure having you sharing a conversation with me. And I did some research about you. Okay, so I need to introduce yourself. I thought first initially for few days I thought like I you need no introduction, but then I was going through your profiles and I found something very interesting.
Okay.
So let me introduce yourself. So he is the author of TV Tidbits Forum, right? And you are a Golden Hoodie recipient. You're a marketing champion. You have 28 certification, including the Scrum certification. Okay, you're a big fan of LWC, and you love Agile. And the most important thing why I'm saying this introduction is you're a man of simplicity, which I found. I'll let you know why. Okay, and the other important thing was I was going through your profile was you are with organization UTC, right?
UST.
For last you sorry,
UST. Yeah.
sorry, my mistake.
No,
You
no,
UST for 23 years,
correct.
and this makes an exception across like for my 12 years career. I haven't seen, I think, a single person except a few names that I remember that I can recall is the chairman of Tata Group, N. Chandrasekaran. He started as a PAT in TCS, and now he's the chairman. So, how did you were able to stick to a company for a very long time?
Mm. That is a question I get asked the most, I mean, more than Salesforce things, so whenever I go for any meetings or somebody, sometimes people ask, they introduce, right? So you suddenly say, I'm with this company 23 years. People look at me like this. I mean, I know in some of the Western side world of things, like it's normal. Like there are people who stick on to companies for a long time. But
Mm,
especially in India and APAC side, people are now, especially nowadays, people keep jumping quite often. So not that it's not good. Um, so here's what I usually tell them: you would feel like leaving once you feel you're not appreciated, right? So I've had a very good journey with my company. So I'm not saying like it's like perfectly rosy, right? Every company will have ups
mhm.
and downs, their journeys, right? But the way that you actually overcome some of those, and if you can go forward, then that makes your life, like your journey, better, right? So that's what we've all been through, like ups and downs, and I've felt very good with the journey that I've had with UST. So yeah, that's probably why I stuck again with them. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I was actually going through your profile, and actually, what I saw was your career progression was always in a good step, like 2 years, 2 years, 2 years, 2 years. So that's why I think that is the main factor that you have stick to the company. Like what happens with most of the people which I have heard and listened and understood is they stick to a company, but they have some aspirations, right? They have some, you know, uh, going up to the ladders. They also everybody has those aspirations. So if they are stick for more than 5 6 years in the same position, they feel like okay, I'm being stagnant and all. So that's not in a case,
True.
right?
Yeah. So
Uh,
the opportunities are there, Shashi. So especially in not only in my company, but I'm assuming like in many companies that it will be there.
mhm,
It is a way that you probably have to look at. I'm not saying everywhere it will might be there, but I'm assuming like most companies will have that opportunity where within a couple of years, if you actually want to go for it, you can always talk to your leadership, your next manager, and then work your way accordingly. Like, see, I've been in the shoes of a developer when I started. Like I've grown my way all the way up, and something that I still look at, something I value a lot is working with people, my team, right? With the team members. It's because I
mhm,
understand the way the journey that they've done, right? So being open and having that conversation with your leadership or management or whoever it is, like within your team, is very important. Okay, you should not actually feel afraid that okay, if I tell that to my manager or my senior folks, what will they think? No, they will see me in a different way. They will not give me value me things like that. No, End of the day, if you keep it like vented within yourself, you yourself is going to lose because you will get frustrated. What if you could have made a difference, like, if you had told it openly to your manager, right? That is the things that I've seen, especially in our community in the APAC side, like, especially Indian community. I've seen people are afraid to speak up. Maybe it is a cultural thing, but like, if you see
Mm.
in some of the other countries, people are more vocal. They are open. They will tell, like,
Yeah.
hey, this is what I want. This is my expectation.
Mm.
Nowadays, I've seen it changing. The new generation have changed. They will
Mm.
be very vocal. They will tell you upfront if they don't like it. In between, there
Uh,
are some who have not had that luck. So I would still, like, go ahead and say, like, please go ahead, like, have that, be free. It's a family that you belong to. Like, your work is your second family, so you need to be having that. I mean, if it's a toxic relationship, it's a toxic culture is there, then you don't belong there. So no problem.
mm.
Like, if they don't value you and you are not able to, like, get your aspirations done, then definitely you would look for other places. Money is, I always tell people, money is the last nail in the coffin. Salary is never the problem. That is the last nail in the coffin that makes you leave a company. If you
Mm.
really enjoy the work culture, the people that you work with, you like coming to work every day, then money is only secondary. It will come, it
Mm.
will go. You will make money at some point in time. It's more being valued, being appreciated. If you feel that, okay, yeah, then you will really come. Even if the pay is a little low, you will still feel like working. That has been my
Okay.
experience, and I'm sure many of the people that I talk to also share the same.
Yeah, I agree to the last point what you said. Like, if it's not the money, it's not the salary. If you are being appreciated in the company, you're going to definitely stick to the company. Like, where you have a leadership where they encourages you, right? They appreciates you. So they basically don't look for money. The last resort where people switch is basically when they feel that they are not valued. So, and other thing is, coming generation, yeah, the new generation, they don't have that patience like the older generation used to have. I think your network got frozen. Are you able to hear me? Oh, okay. I thought, okay, there
There's
is
a
some
slight
lag in your network.
internet,
Yeah.
there's a slight problem. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So, yeah. So, what happens here especially in India is the new generation, they don't have patience. If they see a little bit of stagnation, even for a year, they will not stick to the company. And what happens is they will always look for opportunities outside, right? uh, coming back to your this tidbit blog. Okay, there I saw a caption, or you say a tagline, you say a truly Asia. So what that actually you wanted to imply with that saying, is it truly Asia?
So if you look at the caption for Malaysia, it's actually said,
Mm,
if you fly to Malaysia, right, it usually says truly
mm,
Asia. So I just wanted to add the flavor that, okay, if you say truly Asia, it is part of, like, being from this part of the world. So
mm,
usually people don't know that, like, but if you have come to Southeast Asia and if you have flown Malaysian Airlines or if you have come to Malaysia, you will see that tagline. So I thought of, like,
oh.
maybe it's an extra touch of, like, showing that, hey,
Mhm.
this is from Malaysia. So I'm actually
Mhm.
providing some from here, right? So that's why.
Okay, okay. So it's related to the okay, Malaysia.
Yeah, yeah.
So this also I like this like tidbit. So how did you came with this name? Like, not I see a lot of people, right? They like, even if I write my blog, I'll always mention my name. Like, it's a Sashi b2.sashi@com. So you don't have your name, but you have these tidbits. Uh,
So that is something I've kept, like, so it is not even my YouTube channel also, I did not put the name there. Like, I didn't want to put my
mm,
name. I just wanted to keep it like something related to what you're trying to contribute, right? I may have my own personal channel separately, that is a different thing, right?
mm,
So Tidbits basically, it was not just for Salesforce. I actually wanted to start my own blog sometime back, and I kept, like, putting it off, thinking like, yeah, one day I will do, one day I will do.
mm,
But then I said, okay, finally, let me go and purchase it. Okay, so I
mm,
ended up purchasing the domain, the host, everything, and then I said, okay, I have to start somewhere, like, so. And I thought, okay, what is it that I want to do about? Like, I can say I can give little bit of small things here and there. Maybe it could be about agile. Maybe it could be something that I like about cooking, my travel, or,
mm,
like, it could be any Salesforce, everything, right? So a
mm,
little bit of sharing some information. So some tidbits that I want to share that we can have. So that's why I kept it
mm.
as, like, that title. Just came from
Yeah,
that.
yeah. But actually, I got attracted with this name. when I was reading this. So I felt, okay, you know, it has something, yeah, because it touches you internally, not like showing to the world that this is actually SFMC related only. That's why I asked you the question, and I got the answer actually. Uh, coming back to your journey. So how let's start with like how was your childhood? How you started? I see you have studied from Kerala, right? And you have mentioned University of Kerala. So, which college did you go to, and your college days and school days?
Okay, so something you probably will not see in that profile, or maybe I don't know if it's there, but I was actually born and brought up in the Arabian Gulf, which is Bahrain. So I did all of my childhood and schooling there.
Mm,
Then after the Gulf War, I moved back to India, and so in
mm,
'90s I came back to India. Did the rest of my schooling in Kerala. My college was in Trivandrum, like my
mm,
engineering from there. Straight away out of that, I came and I joined UST. So like
mhm,
we had like different campus things and all going at that time. So but this was outside campus. We had when clear there were multiple companies that were coming at the same time.
mm,
I was one of the lucky people to actually get into UST at that time. UST was still small; they were just starting off, and then people used to tell like, "Are you sure you want to get into this company?" Things like that. So I said, "Okay, no problem. That's okay. We will try." Very soon, like it was, I felt it was the right decision at that time, and we just kicked off from there. So I was happy to be part of that journey. Like it was one of the first 100 employees that we had at that time. So it was a small company. Today we are about 30,000 plus
mhm.
globally. So happy to be part of that journey.
Oh, yeah, nice. So you started in UST, and from the beginning you were working for Salesforce, or you
No,
were
no, no.
working for different technology?
Uh, Yeah, I started like at back then there was no .NET. So
Mm,
I used to like on my own. I used to be try VB and all on my own, like Visual Basic. I don't know how many people still know that. So
mhm,
we used to do Visual Basic and all that. And when I joined the company, ASP was very hot. Okay, active
mhm,
server pages, JSP on the Java side, and on the Windows, I mean the Microsoft side, it was ASP. So we were actually working on web pages and ASP and all that. So that is still, I still have the developer background with me in terms of that. I still like to play. During my I mean, college days, I used to like work in C, C++, Pascal, and all that. So
mhm,
coding has always been in my blood. So I like to do programming in my free time whenever I like. You cannot
mhm,
like take that out, though I don't do that quite often now. And then um, moving like into like started with the development areas, and then .NET came in. Slowly, I did not move too much in the .NET platform, but I had some little bit of exposure. By then, I got into the next kind of role where we started looking into a little bit of systems analyst and the business analyst role. And I had um, as soon as my career with UST started, I was one of the few people who were lucky enough to actually go back and forth with the US. Like, so we had like a lot of trips where we had to go to the US for different business
mhm,
um, visits and all that. So we had like client
mhm,
visits where we had to go and like get look at new systems requirements, and we come back, we do implementation. So there was a bunch of things that we had back and forth. That was a good journey. I would say it was a first few years. It was like all about like working for different clients, understanding their systems, and then we were trying to implement that when we with our offshore teams and all that, right? So that journey slowly helped me take off, like all the way from the developer all to a lead role, and then moved into at some point in time I moved like between a business analyst and a project management role. So it went into my forte, then turned into delivery management. So it was more
mhm,
of like working with teams and then trying to deliver projects. You start small, you start understanding, like you work as a project lead, you'll understand what is the pain that you go through, like of like when you want to deliver a project. So then you go to, once you feel you're ready for the next step, you will ask for it, and then you will move to the next goal. So that is something we've done. Start with one project, then you start delivering two projects, three projects, then you get into the bigger role of like managing multiple
mhm,
portfolios and things like that. So if you see, that has been my career path. Salesforce one actually came in about, I think, 2007, 2008, I would say. So probably around, yeah, 15 years, 14, 15 years. So our company has been using Salesforce for I mean, we are a partner for a very long time. And it was my boss who actually introduced us at that time. And at that time, he told us like, hey, mark my words, Salesforce is going to be very huge. Okay. So we were quite
mhm,
new to this. I was coming from .NET background, Microsoft background and
mhm,
all that. and we were and he had already started building out a small team within our company. And then he said, okay, you join, come with us, let's and I know him from previous some other engagements which is not Salesforce, right? So we started our journey, and then I was like I got very intrigued with Salesforce at that time, because till then, like, I have been, we if you're done, you have done .NET, right? The client architecture that we have, you have to have infrastructure, everything, right? So whenever we think of building an application, you have to have servers, infrastructure, everything. This is like, okay, you open a web browser, have an account, you're ready, application is ready. I'm like, my God, that is so cool, man. I can start building my own application now. Imagine
Yeah.
when we used to write one
Mm,
page to login page, or first you have to create
yeah.
login page, then we have to create menu where we have to go.
Mm,
So we know the pain of like having to build
mm,
a at least a 3 page or a 4 page application. This one is like within few clicks, things are ready. I'm like, wow, yeah, must have,
mm,
like, so it'll be awesome. So
mm,
that is what got us hooked on, and then
mm,
I went from there. Started working with clients. I enjoyed. Back then, like, it was very few clouds. Like, we only had like
mm,
sales and service came on later. And I don't know if many people actually tell you this, like, so when we had engagements back then, so I had like,
mm.
two, three very good senior people, like, who are actually active in the community also right now. They were like, working with Salesforce from the actual SME standpoint, right? I was still looking at from a delivery standpoint. So these guys became experts and all that. If you want to make any changes in Salesforce, okay, the Salesforce had a specific architect assigned. Okay,
Mm,
today is not like that. Today, every
mm,
team has their own architect, or maybe they don't even have an architect. Developer can do
mm,
whatever
correct.
they you leave it to them, right?
Mm,
At that particular time, I think because the ecosystem was still small,
mm.
every company they would actually assign one architect, and that architect is the one who tells, if you have to ask, if you're a partner or you're a customer, somebody is there who's making a change, you have to get their permission to make even a small change. They will
Oh.
review and say, why can't you do that using config? Why you have to write code for this? No, 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 cannot. So it was very hard convincing them to do a code change. Okay,
Oh.
and that is how it was intended to be. Today, any small change depends on the developer. If the developer wants to write a trigger, he likes trigger, he will write trigger. Okay, some guy doesn't know trigger. Let me see how I can do through config. Somehow I have to make it through config. So it depends. Like, I mean, there are multiple ways to do
Mm,
something, but what is the apt way to do? At that time, like, there was at least a gatekeeper. Like, they would, somebody was there, like, who understood the architecture things of thing, and they would look at it from that perspective, and they will tell, okay, guys, no, no,
mm,
simply you can do whatever you want, right? Down the line also, we've had like, we had this role called BSAs, or business systems analysts, who are actually hardcore people who were handed down from the architect levels, who actually knew solutioning from a config perspective and when
mm,
to use code. They may not be expert in code. Okay,
mm.
they were the middle layer between the people who write the BRD and requirement and the technical team who did the code. Okay, so this
Mm.
middle people, what they will do is, they understand the platform very well.
Okay.
What they will do, they will do solutioning. They will write the low level, olden documents, we used to have high level design, low level design, right? So they used to write all these design documents, and they will say, this is how you should solution this requirement. For this, you have to use this config, this config, this config, right? Wherever they cannot solution using a config thing, they will
Yeah.
say, okay, this part will be done by the developer using Apex or something. They will sit with the developer team and tell.
Okay.
Only if they agree, the developer will go and code. Okay,
Mm.
so till then we cannot go touch code. Okay,
Mm,
so
so it
so
means
that,
like, yeah, it was a very new company, right? It was forming its base, and basically, what happens is, when a product is launched, they are very conservative of exposing all their internal components. So when I was a .NET, like you said, like I started, yeah, from school days, I used to do Visual Basic and Visual Code and all. And when I started macro programming. Then I went to ASP, then ASP.NET, and then AngularJS, React.js. All this were done. In between this, yeah, I have worked with 2, 3 product companies. Like we used to go to that as a deputation to that company, and we used to see how they are basically doing it. And then I saw their conservative role. They don't want to expose everything to the outside world, because that is their USB. How they have internally managed. Either sometimes some product used to run on only simply on SQL Server, like they have PL SQL, okay,
mm,
their PL SQL. PL SQL is doing all the things, and this they are doing in the UI. So then I understood, okay, how. So I think that is the main case here, happening with the Salesforce here. And what I also was thinking was, I just was remembering one thing when you were saying, right? So you started with Sales Cloud,
mm.
right? And then you, and what I see is your passion, like with a, when you say you're a developer, right? So when I see your YouTube video, okay, I see the passion in you, the way you say it. And I also remember you saying the most important, or the most, what you say, your favorite tool is the Automation Studio. And so why is Automation Studio your favorite one?
Because I actually started with that. I will. Okay, so I'll give you maybe I good time to actually say how I got into marketing, or what was my
Mhm.
marketing journey, right? So, uh, Salesforce, like I've been in the Salesforce ecosystem for a long time, but like I said, it was more of a delivery role, right? But then slowly, I think few years back, around I think 5 6 years back, whenever I talk to my team members, so they will talk technical, and then you will feel like, okay, sometimes they will not approach you thinking like, oh, he's not technical. How do I like tell him like my issues and things like that, right? So even though I understand the platform basics, I will know. I have not taken any certifications. So I said, okay, maybe I need to go get some certifications and talk to the team a little more technical. I don't have to sit and micromanage or say anything, but at least you will
Mhm.
understand when they have challenges and things like that. So that is when I started getting into a little more of some of the certificates, some more technical areas, understanding the platform, so we can have some meaningful conversations, right? Marketing was a black box. So I had few people in my team who were like marketing experts, and then we had the account and everything, but we had no idea what is happening inside that, right? So about 3 4 years, 4 years back or so, this account is sitting over there, and I have no idea what to do. So I went ahead and I tried my certification in email, I thought, and I had to. There was a drive going on, so there was an admin and email certification on the same day. Okay,
Mhm.
I thought, oh, yeah, admin I studied pretty well, so I knew I will. I was like pretty confident. Went past email. I thought I will just simply browse through, understand. I thought maybe simple. I literally failed. Okay,
Mhm.
so it was like, okay, I simply guessed some things and went, and I said no. Because I'd gone through some documentation things and all that, and at time there was some sample things and all I saw. It was not okay. Okay, but I thought, okay, it might be easy, but totally off. Okay, then I said, okay, why is this one? So that means, and this was my first failure, right? So suddenly when you fail, you will say, why was it that challenging? Because the words doesn't seem that challenging. Then
Mhm.
I went back, I started going through the documentation. And that time, documentation is all we have. Okay, you should understand this one. There is no videos, there is no awesome blogs and things like nothing like we have today. Okay. So I started going through again list and data extent, exact target documentation is there. I'm going through that. I'm trying to figure out. And while we are doing this, even though the org is there, I have not even gone into it. I have not tried
Mhm.
because I don't know how to do this thing. I was literally trying to envision in my mind what those things mean. Okay,
Mhm.
I passed the exam after going through it again because this time I had an idea of like, okay, what type of questions to expect, where did I go wrong, things like that. So I passed, but still I was not very happy.
Mhm.
Then I went into the platform. I started exploring myself based on what I learned. Okay, I tried hands-on things like that. That is when I really understood that some of the things I understood was not correct, even as
Mhm.
writing the exam. Okay, so then I was like, okay, because from the documentation it is not very evident. There are few things that you
Mhm.
will think this is the way it is by looking at it. I mean, if, you cannot put everything in documentation, right? It's not easy for even for the people who document. So I was saying, dude, if I make this mistake, I am sure people who are going to learn this in the future, they will also make the same problem, right? And they will go through
Mhm.
the same issue. And that time I am saying like, why is nobody actually creating? Then I started training my internal team. Okay, so internally we wanted to train some people. I started training because now I have the org, and then people who were there with me they already left, so there was nobody to help. So we had to
Mhm.
do on our own, trial and error. I tried,
Mhm.
we did, and then when in this after I finished training about 20 25 people in my team, I felt confident. We had this pandemic happened in 2020, right? So everything went virtual, all our like community meetings. Till then, our
Mhm.
community is restricted to only our city, so you don't have the opportunity to speak to other people. When we went virtual, I was thinking like, hey, and there was this opportunity for this marketing champion program, that
Mhm.
Gilda said, okay, if you want to contribute to marketing
Mhm.
and things like that. So that is when we thought of we will try to do this boot camp program. I thought of like, okay, if I can do training for my team, why can't I do it online on the community, and then we can do it in, like, day to day. We started the bootcamp program, and that kind of, like, kicked off. Prior to this, like, when I was training my team, you asked about the automation thing, right? So
Mhm.
I started my channel that time, like, I simply put YouTube. Okay, let me also make some videos. It's not about, like, and the first time you make a channel and videos, my lesson is like, and I'm pretty sure everybody who makes content will tell you, your first 20-30 videos, you will have very low number of subscribers or viewers. Okay,
Uh,
because people don't know about it. It will slowly gather, and it will also be some of the poorly recorded ones and edited ones. Okay,
true.
me. Okay, because we are learning, we never know
Mm,
that. Okay, at that time, like, and I didn't go too much about. I said, okay, I have learned it. I am sharing it for people to learn. If
Mm.
somebody comes across it at some point in day, otherwise, like,
Mm.
let it be there. It's okay, no problem.
yeah,
So I just, and I kind of like built the entire automation because I studied using that, and I said,
Mm.
if somebody wants to learn automation today, there is no
Mm.
guide on automation, and Automation Studio was one of the very interesting topics that I liked in this
Yeah.
one. Journey Builder, definitely, the people
mm,
talk about, but Automation Studio is very powerful, and there's so many
mm,
things in it. You probably would have seen the questions back when you had
Mm.
taken certification, right? Which come activity comes in what
uh,
sequence? Man,
yeah.
that used to confuse the hell out of me. Like, I had no idea which one was when I was first taking it. Like,
Mm,
when you do it, there are
uh,
different ways you can do it. Things like, so I wanted to make it very sure, like, guys, don't by heart the question or something.
mm,
Understand the entire platform. Understand what is possible. Then you yourself will be able to solve it. So we
mm,
created videos like that, and the series was there. Later on, when, like, when other videos came in later on, like, when we started the Marketing Champions program, boot camps all came in. We did the boot camp. Boot camp was successful. Then people started going back and viewing the automation video. So that
Mm.
became famous only after that. So to any content creator, I usually tell, guys, your first 5-10 videos, people may not even look at it till one fine day, like, some video kicks off, it becomes like, very thing. Then people say, let me go and see all his previous ones. Same,
true.
like one book
Mm,
goes awesome, like, you sell a great book, we will see which other books this author has written. I want to read all his
uh,
books. I'll,
yeah.
same thing. It's
Yeah.
always there.
Yeah.